what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Versions of Healing, the interview segment of the Healing Version podcast. I am your host, Deborah, and today we have joining us Latha Jay, a spiritual strategist, best-selling author, verified content creator, and transformational teacher who's known for bridging the gap between neuroscience and spirituality. Through her work, she helps people understand that healing and manifestations go far beyond surface level affirmations and social media trends, way past that. Latha teaches people how to shift their mindset, regulate their nervous system, heal limiting beliefs, and truly align with their visions. She is going to grace us with an interview today, and I'm very excited to hear from her. We'll be speaking about her upcoming book, The 24/7 Manifestation Method. That is already creating powerful and meaning conversations. So let's go ahead and welcome Latha Jay to Versions of Healing. Hi, Latha. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to go ahead and get right into the interview with you. So as I mentioned before, you have an upcoming book. It's called The 24/7 Manifestation Method. What makes your approach to manifestation different from what people usually see online?
That's a great question because I think the biggest difference, honestly, is that I don't teach manifestation as magic. I teach it as a practice of identity, of the nervous system regulation, of subconscious reprogramming and aligned action. And I make it very practical, something that is tangible that we can touch. A lot of what people see online is very surface level. And it's just like, think positive kind of thing and say these affirmations or light these candles and, then your soulmate will text you. And while I really love that stuff too, and I believe in intentionality and that energy really matters, manifestation is so much deeper than that. My work, honestly, it bridges the gap between that space of spirituality and science, of that space between woo and wow, really. The spirituality and the science aspects. And I love bringing everything together, the soul and neuroscience, because your thoughts alone are not just creating your reality. Your identity truly is. Your subconscious patterns are. The way that you're thinking on a default state is. Your emotional baseline is. Your nervous system is. All of that. And in the 24/7 manifestation method, I built it around the actual understanding that transformation happens through repetition. It happens through emotional regulation. It happens through congruence happening within you. And also the daily embodiment, not just like an occasional inspiration or motivation or feel good kind of moment. So instead of asking, how do I attract this thing? I want people to ask, who do I have to become when I no longer am chasing that thing? Right? It's a very different question. And that's really where I stand in that.
Absolutely. I love that because I think that a lot of people think of it as like a kind of a microwave system. Like I can just, manifest this thing and then it's going to happen overnight and then I'm done. Not this. So much is changing the identity. So I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. So what is the connection between identity and manifestation? So like why is becoming the version of yourself who can hold the life you desire so important?
Well, that's what really takes away the boundary, the different blockages between you and what you are wanting and creating in your life. That's what really changes everything. When you don't feel, if your identity isn't aligned with whatever it is that you're manifesting, having more money, having the love of your life, having whatever, your nervous system is going to feel chaotic in the process of getting even close to it. So when your identity is really matching the person that already has it, there's this sense of calm. And really with that, you're closing the gap between who you are now and that future self that already has it. You're just totally compressing it. It's like a quantum leap into your highest version of yourself.
That makes so much sense. You like really putting things into perspective for me. Like it's like light bulbs are going off. I'm sure for the listeners as well. So in your book, you talk about the subconscious mind being most impressionable at certain times of the day. Can you explain the science and spirituality behind that?
Absolutely. So there is certain times of the day that the subconscious is the most impressionable. It's a state of mind, and it's called the hypnagogic state. And this is a period of time between rest and wakefulness. So it's basically between the time that you're sleeping and the time that you're awake. That little switch where your brain is switching from being asleep to awake, that's the hypnagogic state. And that is when your mind is, your subconscious really is the most impressionable. Now that happens 2 times during your day, usually right in the morning as soon as you wake up and right before you go to bed, where you're switching from wakefulness to resting or rest to wakefulness. That's when, and I wrote about it in the book, The 24/7 Manifestation Method, as that's the hack right there, right? Whatever you are thinking about, focused on, being in the space of repetition during those periods of time in a consistent routine manner, that's what your subconscious starts to believe. And as you're rewriting your default state in your subconscious, you're continuing to then think those thoughts throughout the day. You're continuing, and the cool thing is, like, when your subconscious believes it, it becomes a repetitive thought for you. When that thought repeats enough times, it becomes a belief. And when you actually believe something, it will impact the way that you act. Now, when your actions are impacted, the way that the world responds to you changes. And that's where the magic really is. It's like, but it all starts from a thought. Everything starts from a thought.
But so, what are some subconscious patterns that we as people don't even realize that we're blocking?
Some subconscious patterns that we might have
Yeah,
that hold us back. Yeah.
yeah.
So simple thoughts of, I don't have enough money for that. Okay. I got to work hard to make money. I don't deserve that. Or he would never like me, or she would never like me. I'm not lovable. I'm divorced, so nobody would want a divorcee with 2 kids or whatever. The stories that we make up, they end up becoming our default state because a lot of time those stories are associated with a lot of emotion, right? Anytime that we've been through something tough, it's an emotionally activating experience. And there's a part of our brain, it's called the reticular activating system, that actually kind of really adheres and remembers things that it feels is important. And one of the signals to the reticular activating system that something is important is your emotions. So when you have an intense emotional response to it, let's just say you're getting divorced and it's really emotionally draining for you. It's a breakup, you're heartbroken, right? Your ideas that then you form during that time, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'll never get married again, everybody cheats, whatever those ideas are, they come to me very familiarly because in my early 20s, that's exactly how I thought. I had been married and I got divorced and my heart was broken. And those were the subconscious ideas that I started to create about myself, that default thinking. And that's what I continued to, that's how I lived my life for many years after that, until I realized that that's not the way I want to be. There's an issue here, right? And I wanted to change
Absolutely.
things. And I started to rewrite my subconscious and my whole life changed. And when I was able to do that, I said, oh, there's something here. I'm going to start teaching this. And I did. And I've been teaching this methodology for almost 15 years now. And it's changed thousands of lives all around the world.
So basically, whatever you're telling yourself the most is what you will subconsciously remember,
Well,
or what you will subconsciously believe. Sorry.
whatever you have an emotional impact attached to it, that's going to be more imprinted upon us.
Mm.
Maybe it's a memory of a kid, of something dramatic happening and you were scared, and then that idea kind of sticks with you. And whatever belief you made about that then sticks with you. I mean, I have an example for myself. Do you want me to share?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. So when I was a kid, I really wanted to become a singer. And I joined the school choir. And one day during choir practice, we're on the bleachers in the auditorium. My music teacher had called me down from the bleachers. She said, Latha, come here. When I got down, I was so excited because I actually thought I had gotten the solo for the choir. And when I got to her, she looked me right in the eyes too. And she said, Latha, you have a terrible voice. You shouldn't sing. You probably shouldn't even speak. Go sit down. She kicked me out of the choir. And in that moment, the whole bleachers erupted into laughter. She made
What?
a joke. Yes, I could have spontaneously combust. Like, I literally felt like I was like, ooh, like
Oh
just
my God.
wrong, right? And in that moment, I made the decision. She's right. I was so emotionally activated. I was so heartbroken because all I wanted to do was become a singer. And I made the decision that she was right. My voice didn't matter. I shouldn't speak up for myself. It's safer to stay quiet. I made all these ideas. And in that became my default state. And that's how I continued to live my life for at least the next decade. And that showed up in my life as not taking the chances, not going for the things that I wanted. If I wanted to go for a promotion, or if I wanted to go, ask someone out, if I wanted to apply for something, I would just stay quiet and small, because in my mind, I had the very strong emotional attachment to the belief that if I was quiet and small, it was safe. and I would never get hurt like that again. Right. And that became my default state. And it wasn't until I was older, when I was doing a lot of shadow work and really just trying to uncover, I had this feeling that life wasn't meant to be lived in that way. And when I did the shadow work and was doing all of these healing modalities and really trying to uncover some stuff, that's what came to me. And I was like, whoa, wow, okay, cool. Now I can rewrite this. Now that I can see it, I can rewrite it, because it's not what I believe. And I mean, if you know me now, I'm a almost 3-time published author. I use my voice every day. I have almost 1 million followers across social media. I literally use my voice every single day in every way. And what I had once tried to suppress is actually my greatest gift. I thought my voice was a problem, but it was a portal into the next level of who I could be and how I could impact millions of people all around the world.
Oh, wow, that's an amazing testimony. I think that a lot of people deal with like childhood trauma and things that people have told you as a child, like if it's parents or, or whoever, and it imprints the child and it's very impressionable and grow up believing those things. And there's people, that's still adults and they're walking around believing those things and living inside a box. So thank you for sharing that. Thank
Mhm.
you. It made me sad, but I'm really glad that you shared it. Oh my goodness! Like, how dare you? And then the kids, to say it in front of kids. Kids do not care. The kids are mean. I said
I
all the
mean,
time, kids are so mean. I have 8-year-old twins, and they are always just so mean to each other. I'm like, that's so mean.
I think that largely, I have 4 kids too, right? And the thing is, what I have found, just in observation of being a parent of them, they all just want to be accepted to some extent, and they will step on each other to do so. So I felt like when my teacher had said that and made the joke and she was laughing about it, everybody wanted to laugh with her in that state of acceptance, right? As like, oh, haha, it's so funny. I don't necessarily think that they were like, yeah, your voice sucks, like you suck kind of thing. But that's absolutely how I took it. Now, in this situation, I want to point out too, it's not about the teacher or the kids or anything like that. It's about the idea. It's about the impression and the belief that I created for myself in that moment. Because the same exact thing could have happened to 100 different people, and 100 different people could have taken it a different way. I mean, there could be people that went through the same thing and were just like, what does she know? F her, and kept it moving and not made those
Absolutely,
beliefs about this.
absolutely. The fire could have been the fire. Like, oh, well, I'm going to show you. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, you've helped thousands of people around the world through retreats, courses, and teachings. What are some of the most incredible transformations that you've witnessed?
Oh my gosh, there are so many. I have witnessed people just completely changing their lives, being able to manifest a partner into their life, which that was all they wanted, or having a child when they were told that they couldn't have children, being able to completely transform their bodies. I have one woman, oh my God, and I just have like such a admiration for her, because I know the work that she put in to make this happen. But she shed over 100 pounds naturally, like, without any supplements or anything like that. And it was such an inspiration to hear her story, because I think the process of her actually doing this started with her subconscious and unlocking some trauma that she had in her own life. And when she was able to unlock that, so much was unlocked in regards to her physical body, and understanding that she no longer had to hate her body. She could just be, working with it and being in alignment with it. And everything changed in her life from then.
Believing that she could do it. That's awesome. That's really amazing. So, did she like have like a lifestyle change at all with that, or?
Yeah, and she said she just continued to do the stuff that she kind of was doing, but she stuck
Mhm.
to it. And that's what really shifted it for her. But the idea that really shifted for her and allowed her to be consistent was that she actually started to understand that she was valuable and that her body was worthy. And it wasn't that her body was against her. A little bit more about her story is that she actually dealt with multiple miscarriages. I believe it was 11 miscarriages. And through each one, she created the belief, my body's against me, and like almost creating a deep pain and a hatred towards her own body. And with that, the weight kept coming on and on and on. And it was almost this like shield being created in some mentality, some way they're trying to protect her. But when she realized, wait a second, no, my body isn't against me, and she could really like see it, and she had this breakthrough from that moment, it was like, I think it was less than a year. She dropped 100 pounds. And I remember she sent me it was a video message. And I was like, who is this? I could not even recognize her. It
Oh
was
wow.
crazy. And then she was talking. I was like, wait a second. What? It was amazing. I actually write about her story in the book as well because it impacted me so deeply. I could see it so clearly about how this work has such a practical shift that can happen in someone's life. I mean, it's life changing, it's life saving work.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. So, we live in a world where so many people are burnt out, disconnected, overwhelmed. What are some practical daily shifts people can make to reconnect with themselves and feel more aligned?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that especially now with technology, it's like we can never get away from it. Work is always like on our phone. It's following around with us. It's we always got an email to check or someone to text. I mean, that's kind of
Mhm.
it's modern life. And one of the biggest things is I want to encourage people to take time in nature. If you live in a city, take time to go to the local park or, or escape the city for a little bit. If you live, just to really take some time to be in nature, go for a hike, go for a walk in nature, spend time outside. We are creatures that are regenerated by the energy that is around us, by being in the forest and being in the woods and connecting with the sun. Highly, highly recommend. It's one of the most grounding things that you can do is to spend time in nature. Another thing that I want to recommend is meditation. I recommend this for everyone. I think that it can truly, truly be absolutely life changing with consistency. I've been a meditator for pretty much my whole life, but a transcendental meditation meditator for over 20 years now. And that practice really stuck with me because it really created a structure for me. I know that every day I'm going to meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Right. And that was the consistency that I needed. And a lot of times, one of the biggest benefits of meditation, I always think of it like if you're driving in a car on a muddy road and it's kind of like wet and rainy and there's mud coming up on your windshield, you put on the wipers and you clean the view a little bit, right? I always think about meditation as cleaning the view. It gives you that moment, that little reset for you to then continue through the world and society and everything else, the mud that's coming on. You meditate again, you have a clearer view. And it gives you a little bit more directionality to just see, hey, I want to go this way, I want to go that way with my life. But it brings that centered nature so that the distractions and things that are happening in your life, as they will happen, you are still in control and you understand the strength of your core and you can direct the path of your life moving forward.
Absolutely. And did you say transit meditation?
Transcendental meditation.
Transcendental.
Sometimes
Okay.
it's called TM. There's a website. It's called tm.org. You can find out more information, and it's global. It's everywhere in the world. Like I said, I've been part of it for 20 years, and I mean it's been around way way before me as well. And I just think it's really cool because there's a structure to it. No
Mhm.
matter where you are in the world, there's always going to be a teacher somewhere accessible to you. And they do online courses and stuff like that now, but when I had first done it, I mean, they didn't have online courses, everything was in person. And I remember it was like it was actually a few years ago. My father had passed away and it was devastating too. I was like
Right.
crushed, right? And in that process, I had been a meditator at that point for, I don't know, 15 years, a transcendental, very consistently every day, twice a day meditator. I could not meditate. I could not sit with myself. I was grieving so hard. And I remember in that moment, I was like, let me reach out to them. And I sent them an email and I was like, guys, I'm having a hard time right now. And they said, okay, no problem. And I lived far away from people at the time. I had a farm in upstate Pennsylvania. It was like easily an hour out to like anything to a Target. It was like an hour and a half, right? Like it was far. And I was like, okay. I said, I'm really struggling here. I'll drive out to anybody. This is my location. They said, okay, cool. And they found me a meditation teacher 30 minutes away from where I was on the farm. And I
Oh
went to,
wow. Okay.
and we had a session together, a check in, and it helped me so much. And it was at no cost to me or anything like that. It was like such a pleasure to just be able to be there and have that reset and have that connection. And that was it, right? There was nothing else. There was nothing more that had to be done. That was it. So it's beautiful.
Thank you for describing meditation in a way with the mud on the windshield and the wipers because that I'm a visual person, so I'm just like visualizing everything. But that makes so much sense. Like, you get that clear view in the morning, get that clear view before you go to bed at night. Very, very helpful. So, what does healing actually look like in real life beyond the aesthetics and the trends that we see online?
What does it look like? I'll tell you what it feels like. It
Okay, even better.
feels like peace. It feels like fulfillment. It feels like joy. I think that a lot of times, especially in modern society as we are in now, people are chasing this capitalistic dream of having more cars or more shoes or more whatever it is. And we get lost in that rat race a lot of times, and we feel like, well, we have it. And I know I went through this, right? When I first started my business and started making a decent amount of money, it was the shoes and it was the houses and it was the this. And I
Hmm.
realized, I have everything I ever wanted and I am miserable. I was so sad. And I said, this don't make sense. Right? Something
Yeah.
a little bit different. I think that when you actually really are living in alignment, it doesn't feel like that. You really feel fulfilled with whatever it is that you're doing. And you could be doing big, beautiful things. You could be doing small, beautiful things. But the thing is, they're beautiful to you. And that's what truly matters. And you feel that sense of fulfillment, that sense of joy and happiness.
Yes. I just hear peace. That's a sense of peace. And, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, you often describe yourself as bridging the gap between woo and wow. What does modern spirituality actually look like to you, especially for people who may be skeptical of it?
Oh, yeah. I think that there are people that are skeptical of it because sometimes it gets a bad rap. I think that a lot of people now have presented themselves as manifestation teachers or that, whatever they're presenting themselves as. The big difference here is that modern spirituality to me really is grounded. It has to be in the space of being grounded. It's not about escaping reality. It's about becoming more fully present within reality, within it. And I think that spirituality should help people to become more compassionate, more curious about life, and more self aware. Also, more emotionally responsible and connected to their intuition and much more aligned with what their values are in life. I think skepticism is healthy. So people that, have a little skepticism, I love it. I think that that's really healthy. And I encourage people to actually question things, to think really critically and to stay in the space of discernment, to be discerning, because you don't have to believe in every spiritual concept to start to transform your life. You don't have to, because so much of what I teach actually is supported by neuroscience. It's supported by scientific evidence and psychology and behavioral science and, the understanding of our thoughts and our emotions and the environment and how we're shaping our reality around us. Because modern spirituality can look like therapy. It can look like breath work. It can look like meditation, which we talked about, or journaling, or nervous system regulation and healing, mindfulness. It could look like so many things, but learning how to actually regulate your emotions instead of suppressing them, that's huge. And it's less about the perfectionism and it's much more about being consciously aware.
And would you say that so that you can receive, like when you talk about the nervous system and the neuroscience of it, and in order for you to receive the manifestations or become a better you have to first be regulated as far as your mind.
Yeah, I was having an interesting conversation with one of my good friends yesterday, and this idea had come up, and he was saying, I know I'm ready and I'm just waiting for that thing to come into my life. And I was telling him, like, dude, it's not like that. When you're ready, the thing has been waiting for you all along. It's like you think you're waiting for it. It has been waiting for you to become prepared and ready. And when you are able to regulate your nervous system, to shift your identity, to really like understand what you are truly capable and deserving of, the things that you have ever wanted in your life come into it. And I'm not only talking about the material things, but the things like feeling joy and happiness or feeling the sense of pride and being loved and confidence in your life. Those things too, everything is available for you at all times. It's just a matter of, are you able to get out of your own way and stop blocking your own blessings coming through.
That's one to think about. That's one to think about. Yeah, definitely. Because I that's so funny. I just made a post and I was like, we be in our own way. Like we seriously be in our own way with our stinking thinking and our limiting beliefs and just um, talking ourselves out of things before we even scratch the surface of it. So that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Mhm.
So for someone listening right now who feels like they've outgrown their current life but don't know what's to come next, what would you want them to hear from you?
I would want them to know that outgrowing your current life is not failure, first of all. Okay. I really believe that it's evidence of expansion of what you are growing into. Sometimes the discomfort that you feel, it's not because you're lost in any sense, but it's more so because your soul no longer fits inside of the version of your life that you were once willing to tolerate, essentially. And that in between session right there, that in between even season, can feel so incredibly uncomfortable because you haven't fully become the next version of yourself, but you also can't comfortably return to who you used to be. So that space right there is so sacred. And you do not need to have every single answer today, like right away, immediately, kind of thing. You just need to stay willing to even listen to yourself, to trust what is unfolding before you, and also just to take some aligned action steps in your life. I find that people sometimes just think about manifesting and think that's just all about the thoughts. It's not. Action is a big aspect of actually having transformation happen and being able to, have your life change and expand. You have to be in action and show, right? Transformation rarely happens all at once. It happens through some consistent and small choices that really start to reshape your life and your identity and your reality. And if the conversation really continues to be expanded there, I think that anything that is happening in someone's life, if they're feeling stuck and trapped, I just want them to know that there is more. Your life doesn't have to feel small for you. And if you're feeling that way, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a signal. It's like an alarm that's coming to you to say, hey, maybe it's time to make a change. And I mean, we talk about this in my book, The 24/7 Manifestation Method, about how it can just feel difficult sometimes and uncomfortable, really, when change is happening, because as human beings, we get so comfortable with the familiarity of a pattern, with what is familiar. The pattern that is most familiar to us is what we want to stay with, whether it is aligned with our true desires or not. We want to stay in the space of comfort. So when we start to feel like this no longer fits us, it's uncomfortable because comfort is here, but our goals are here. So it's natural. It's natural.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, what would you say to someone who feels that their thoughts are all over the place when they're manifesting? Like they're thinking about a million things. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp, your online therapy solution. I'm going to be real with y'all. Therapy changed everything for me. Just having someone to talk to who's trained to help me and unpack life and reflect without judgment, that was powerful. BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that makes getting started easy. You fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist within a few days. And say you get matched with a therapist and they're not a good fit for you. You can switch at any time at no extra cost. So if you are ready to start your own healing journey, visit betterhelp.com/the healing version to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/the healing version. Thank you.
Yeah, two things for that. I would highly recommend doing some shadow work around, maybe something else that's going on or why you feel unsettled, right? And the second thing is I would highly recommend, especially for someone like that, because I was exactly like that. My mind's always racing at 15, different things that I'm talking about at one time. Meditation. Absolutely. Because one of the things about meditation is that you are training yourself. It's kind of like a mind gym. You're training yourself to be able to return to your central thought, um, and be in control of that. So when you're meditating, a lot of times when you're like sitting down and meditating, within 30 seconds, you're going to have a distractive thought, right? You're like saying your mantra or whatever. And it's like this thought that's coming in. It's like, did you thaw out the chicken for dinner tonight? You're just like, oh my God, what?
Yes.
And then you think about, oh, did I thaw out the chicken? Da-da-da. And guess what? If you start to give this little distraction the time of day, it is going to pull you and you were gone. You were lost in that thought, right? You are off on that
Yes.
tangent. the thing about meditation is that when that thought comes in, I always teach people to acknowledge it. Oh, that's a thought. Okay. And then I'm going to continue back. I'm going to turn back to my mantra and just continue whatever sat nam, sat nam, sat nam. And guess what? In another 20 seconds, there's going to be there's a lot of acorns on the patio and you didn't, da, 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 and it's this thought that comes in. And again, I'm going to say, that's a distraction. That's a thought. Okay, cool. Sat nam, sat nam, sat nam. And it gives me the power to say, I see the distractions. I see the chaos that's happening all around me. And I refuse, because I'm in control, to be dragged off by it, right? I refuse that. And I choose to continue to stay centered. Now, what happens with that over time is that you're building a muscle. Just like if you're going to the gym and you're building a physical muscle, you're building a mental muscle here. And in that process, you are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger with your own will, with your own ability to stay focused and aligned to whatever it is that you are going for in your life. It's really powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Like that,
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but that helps me because I'm just like, I'm definitely thinking about the chicken. I'm thinking like, did I lock the door?
Right.
Oh
Where are
my
the
God,
kids at?
did I send that email?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's a million things.
Yeah.
And like, I've never thought about it as like, okay, just like pull it in, acknowledge it and get back on course. So thank you for that. That definitely helps me. If it didn't help anybody else,
Cool.
thank you. So where can listeners learn more about your work and like pre-order your book?
Yeah, come find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Latha underscore JAY underscore. So that's LATHA underscore JAY underscore. You can come find me at my website, which is lathajay.com. And my book is available now on Amazon, and a couple of major retailers as well are carrying it. I would love for you to pre-order it. It is, I honestly think this is one of the best books that I've ever written. This is my third book. My
Sir,
first two
okay.
Yeah, my first two became bestsellers on Amazon and different kind of venues, and one of them is actually translated into over 8 different languages around the world. It's a
Oh
book about shadow
wow.
work, and it was really amazing how impactful that book has become. And now I'm coming up with my third book, and I'm so excited for it because honestly, I can see how things can get better and better and better. And with each book,
Mhm.
I think that I've evolved so much as a writer and also really integrated things that are so impactful and important for people to know and to learn. And it's right there in your hand. And I highly recommend that people go out, pre-order it, get it, and really utilize it. I think it could be really beneficial and life-changing for so many.
Awesome, awesome, and I'll put all of that information in the show notes. So as far as your retreats, like how many retreats have you done?
Like ever?
Like ever? Yeah, like ever. Like it,
Girl, so many.
so
So many.
many. So like, are they usually in the States or are you out the country or?
So I started hosting like retreats and getaways when I was very young. When I was about 15 years old, I started. So I've been doing this for over
Oh,
25.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
It's
Okay.
been a long time. And specifically in Costa Rica, I've hosted for over 12 years now. And that is one of the main spots that I host in. This year, I hosted in Costa Rica, in Texas. I have an upcoming retreat actually happening in Texas, and then another one in Bali. So every year, I try to host maybe like 3 to 5 retreats if I can. It just depends what's happening in my life at the time. This year, I
Okay.
have my book coming out. Actually, on the cover of a magazine. I got a lot of stuff going on this year, so
Okay.
we cut it down to just 3. I was like, I can do 3 because my goal is always to serve the people that come to my retreat and be really powerful in it. And I didn't feel like, okay, I'm going to be stretching myself thin if I'm doing 5 or 6 of them this year. I didn't want to do that. So I know that everybody that came to the Costa Rica retreat had phenomenal time. And
Mhm.
they still message me and they're like, man, this is like so life changing. I wanted to update you about this that's changed in my life, and this manifestation that we were talking about has really like happened. And it's so powerful, and that's what kind of keeps me going and wanting to do more and more with it. But I have a retreat up in
Awesome.
Texas. It's called Spiritual Safari. I don't know if I will ever host this again, but it is a one-time huge experience that I'm creating, where people can have the healing modalities come to them and then be at a safari where there is rescued giraffes and zebras and bison. There's just like incredible kangaroos and like really really
Oh,
incredible,
that's awesome.
yeah,
That's
that are
awesome.
being cared for and nurtured and brought back to health and vitality. It's such a a beautiful experience, beautiful place, beautiful energy to be at. I'm not sure that I will ever host that again. I'll just say that. But there's always something that I'm working on and doing. So I would love for people to follow me on Instagram, join my newsletter, like be in the know, because there's always something super fun. And if you want to come to Bali, come with me to Bali. I think that there's actually a couple more spots left if you want to join. It's going to be a lot of fun. One of the things is that when I do retreats, I really try to hire people that are local to the space that we're going into, especially when it's a foreign country. Like the one in Texas, I'm flying all my people in because like I really wanted this to be an all-star cast. So I flew in like all these incredible people to work with us. But when we go to a foreign country, I always want to be able to bring the people that are local, the local healers that have that power, that history, the magic in them to come to us, and that's always how I've run my retreats. And it's been really powerful and allowing people to not only connect to the healing modalities and the practices that we're going through, but then also to be able to connect deeper with the country that we're in, the space and nature. That's why people want to travel. And it's like you get all of that. You get all of it together. And it's been really beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. So is there a specific reason why you picked Costa Rica so many times?
Oh, I love it.
Just
That's
love
why.
it. Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
love
I
it.
just
So
wanted to ask.
I'm a very energy specific person. I'll say I'm very sensitive to energies, and I have found certain places in Costa Rica to be highly energetic and manifestation portals or vortexes, let's say. So anytime that I bring people there, and we have this, when people are putting in the effort to actually change their lives and go through these processes that we're leading them through, the results are like tenfold. And I found that again and again in Costa Rica. So I'm like, let me keep going with this because I can see the results of
Yeah.
it. So when people are coming through, they are being authentic and being vulnerable, and they're coming through this and, really working on whatever's going on in their life. They're learning the modalities, they're working with the healers that I'm bringing in, and then they leave. And, I will infallibly like get a message 6 months, a year later and say like, hey, my whole life changed. The woman that I was telling you about that lost 100 pounds, she came on one of our retreats and had that breakthrough moment at the retreat. And and I'll
Awesome.
never forget it. And it's like every single time, it's so beautiful to be able to be with people as they are just shifting and they're turning on that inner light. It's one of the most joyous experiences I've.
Awesome. Awesome. So with for Texas, do you still have space or is that sold out?
I do. I'm not sure exactly when this podcast is coming out, but
Okay.
it's June 5th, 6th, and 7th. So if this is
Okay.
coming afterwards, we might be
Oh, it'll be afterwards. So
after.
sorry,
Okay, that
guys.
no, that's totally fine. But let me tell you this: there will be other things that I'm doing, and I'm always looking to do something interesting and engaging. That's one of the reasons that I rented out a whole safari. Right? Like I
Mhm.
wanted people to be there and be like, I'm from New York. I don't know about anybody else. I'm from New York. The only animals that I ever saw until like literally I left the country were like pigeons and squirrels, right? And maybe
What about the
rats.
Reds? What about
So when
I was here about the
when
Reds.
I mean, yeah. But like, when I had gone to the safari the first time, I'm friends with the owner of it, and I didn't even realize that he owned a safari. Like he never really talks about it. He's just a chill, normal seeming guy. And
Yeah.
we had gone over there for another event, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Like this is crazy. The energy here is amazing. And he truly loves these animals. He is not doing it for any other reason other than his pure desire of love for these animals. And honestly, when I first pitched in this event and I was like, let's do this, da da da, he was like, nah. I said, what? And he was like, nah. He was like, I don't really want people over here like that. And I was like, what? And I was like explaining to him, like, dude, this is going to be such an opportunity for these people who are soul
Mhm.
aligned and want to connect with the animals, and they're loving beings, to come and interact. And it'll be beneficial for them, and I think it'd be beneficial for the animals too. Animals carry like such a beautiful energy of
Yes.
awareness and healing and
Animals.
so much. And
Mhm.
eventually he agreed to it. He saw my vision. He saw how
Yeah.
passionate I was about it and said okay to it. And man, it's been such a joy, and I'm super excited to be able to step into this just like next week literally. But I will also say there will be other events that I'm hosting in the United States. I can't guarantee they'll be at safaris, but I will do my best to kind of find
Mhm.
really cool venues that really allow people to feel seen and heard and, part of an incredible group.
Would so love to go to a safari. I love animals. My kids are like, "You crazy?" I like to feed like all the wild animals. I'm like feeding the groundhogs, and then she decided to have 10 little groundhog babies, and I'm feeding the babies, and I'm just like, part of it. I'm like, this is my defense. I'm like, well, I'm starting a garden, and I'm like, if I feed her in the front on the porch, she won't go to the backyard and eat out my garden, right? Right? I feed her
Maybe.
anyway. I'm just gonna feed her. And then I got like bird feeders everywhere, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna be known as the crazy bird people. I don't care. Like I don't know. It's just something about the innocence of animals and just how
Hmm.
pure and just I don't know. I love them. So I would love to go to a safari. So if you ever find like another safari, I'm definitely interested in like being there and just like being up and close and personal with the animals. Like that's
Yeah.
really dope. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you explain like the difference between like the woo and the wow? Like what's considered woo and what's considered wow?
Sure, yeah. So people will say like things are woo woo, if you've ever heard that saying, where they think it's like far off. It's like kind of this hippy dippy shit. I've heard people say that about it. It's like ideas maybe that people aren't. It's not like it's like not mainstream ideas. It's considered maybe a little bit more woo. Woo might be considered like apothecary stuff, healing with herbs and things like that. Woo might be considered coordinating something with the moon cycle or anything like that, right? These things are considered woo. Now, when we think of wow, it's usually like it's clicking for us. There's a connection that's being made, right? So when I say I'm really bridging the gap between woo and wow, it's from an idea that the idea of woo is like something far off, and the idea of wow is like, oh, it's here, it's present, it's like clicking for me. So to just bring that, together is what I mean.
Okay. That makes sense. So like with woo, with woo, would that be considered like the like a psychedelic?
Maybe a lot of times
Okay.
woo is considered just anything that's not considered mainstream. So yeah,
Okay.
there's lots of psychedelic use in a woo community for sure. Woo stuff,
Okay.
whether you're healing through, psilocybin use or, you're using DMT or whatever the case is. Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of that too. I don't usually talk a lot about that on my Instagram and stuff. Although, I have used psychedelics and things like that on my own in my personal use for my
Mm,
own work as well.
okay. Yeah, I
Mhm.
just I don't know. That just came like when I think about like the safaris and like the jungle and stuff, I automatically go to that because I've heard so much about like the naturalness of it, and I know a lot of people like frown upon it, like oh, but like I've heard of people actually like going into where they like figure some things out that happened to them as a child, and it then helped them to heal. So
There's
um,
definitely a space for that, I will say. I mean, and I spent some time in the Amazon with the Shipibo tribe, just really working on my own healing and participating in ayahuasca ceremonies and things like that. This was many years ago, and it absolutely supported me to get to areas of thought in my past that I really couldn't access on my own. And I will say that the safari that I'm putting on in Texas, there is no psychedelic use or anything like that involved
mhm.
with it. It's a lot more. No, it's not like that at all.
I think there'll
Uh,
be a lot of wows there with the animals.
Absolutely,
Wow.
a lot of clicking. We do a lot of different shadow work modalities and things like that. And also, I'm bringing in one of my absolute favorite indigenous healers from Costa Rica. Her name is India Mayorga, and she is, oh my God, she's so powerful, And it's not just her own power. I really do believe that she's channeling her ancestral lineage through her to come and to produce such an incredible experience. And I've sat in many of her cacao ceremonies, and it's always like so incredibly moving.
Mm.
So we get to interact with her, and she comes to a couple of my retreats that I host especially when I do it in Costa Rica. I will always, honor her and have her come through because she's so
Mhm.
powerful in what she does. And, some of the other healers that we're bringing in, I have known for like 15 years. Like these are people that I know and trust. And a lot of the times when I'm hosting retreats, I want to bring in people that I have a familiarity with, that I know
Mhm.
magic. Our sound healer, Troy, he goes by the Troy Story 3. He's actually here with me in Pennsylvania. He's staying with my family, my personal family, like hanging out with my kids for 3 weeks. That's how much I love him, right? Like his talent and his brilliance and the way that he can shift energy in the world through what he does in his sound ceremonies is unlike anything I have ever seen. And I've sat in hundreds of sound ceremonies, right? It comes with the job. Like I'm always being invited to a sound journey here or doing this or doing that. Nothing has ever touched the way that this man can work with sound and music. It's ethereal. It's like so magical. And I hear it from so many people that I introduce him to. They're like, oh my God, like he is so powerful. So yeah, absolutely. We have facilitators that are coming in. We have Danielle Colon coming in, who's talking all about astrology. We have Meredith Willits coming in, who's talking about the experience of her own life and how interactions with death really impacted her to really live into her life. We have Valerie Inez coming, who's actually the co-author of the book that I was mentioning to you that was translated into 8 different languages. My cosmic soul sister here, she's going to be talking about quantum healing. We have such an incredible group of people coming together. And my goal is always to do that, to bring people the best of the best and to honor them just in that process. I really value people's time. I don't want you to come to a retreat and feel like, I just kind of sat around and drank a margarita. No, like, are you kidding me? I want you to be like, there was so much going on and oh, my mind is freaking blown, and that's always the goal. I don't want anything less than my mind is blown. So that's always what I will strive to deliver.
I love that. I love that. So something you mentioned earlier, I know you said you have a shadow work book.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when people think of shadow work, they think of like dark energy or like something bad because of, I guess, of the word shadow.
Yeah.
Um, so like for somebody who's not aware of like what shadow work is, can you kind of give a perspective of like what it is and like what your book covers?
Yeah, I think that that's a really, really important question. Thank you for asking that too, because you're right. People hear the word shadow and they're like, oh, I don't want to be in the shadows. Like, that's
Mhm.
crazy. So sometimes it's kind of a rebrand of what was previously known as like inner child work or wounded self work, things like that. What you're doing with shadow work is really the shadow is thought of as an aspect of ourself. It's not something external. It's an aspect of ourself. And through shadow work, it's the better understanding of that piece of us. A lot of times our shadow is based in the space of guilt, rejection, fear, shame. Those are the things that we tend to have as a shadow when we push it down. And we're putting a lot of energy towards keeping it suppressed or keeping it hidden from view. And when we're doing shadow work, we're allowing for really gentle. I mean, and that's what my book is all about, right? It's about doing shadow work with love. It's about being compassionate and curious in the space that you're really like investigating your own self and your own feelings in the way of what has occurred in your past, but you're doing it with gentleness and curiosity and compassion. And when you do that, it's like things just kind of open up for you. And shadow work is literally like in that book, it's really all about answering questions. Certain questions can just allow for an opening. And it seems so simple. And it really is. The process is so simple and so profound. The results are so profound. Sometimes you'll be answering a shadow work question. You're just like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm answering the question. You write it down in your journal. Okay, you're answering it. And you're like, yeah, nothing happened. Cool, nothing happened. And then it'll be like, 3 days later, you're in the shower washing your hair and you're like, oh my God. Like, there's just like, it comes to you, Or you're like
Mhm.
driving down a road and you're just like, it's a monotonous drive and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's what that was all about. And like something happens. And that's kind of the woo of shadow work, if we want to say.
Mhm.
And that really connects to the wow of it because it's literally you kind of opening the door to seeing what's there in a very gentle manner and then allowing for that. And with that curiosity and with that investigation, a lot more can open up for you through that process.
Absolutely. So your book, it kind of asks questions to like trigger you to kind of be open and honest with self about
Yeah,
different things.
the shadow work book. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes into explaining more about shadow work. It's called the Shadow Work Journal of Self-Love. It's written by myself and my co-author, Valerie Inez. And it goes really in depth into so many different things. And one of the reasons I think that book in particular became so popular was because I actually started to write it the week the week after my father had passed away. So I remember I was saying how deep in grief I was in that process.
Yeah.
I had already scheduled my writing time with Valerie, and we had made the schedule with our publisher and with Penguin Random House. Like, everything was already scheduled. I had no idea my dad was going to die, right? He had gotten sick suddenly, and then we were just like, oh, what's happening? Like, life was happening. And I had the choice if I wanted to delay or cancel the book. And for me, I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because guess what? There's so many shadows that are coming up for me in this process of grieving, of dealing with loss, of feeling regret, of feeling shame, of feeling everything is coming up for me right now. This is the perfect time to write that book, you know? And
Yeah.
I bled on those pages, like things that, you know, the exercises that I'm sharing, and, you know, stuff. It was everything that worked for me, because we went through
Mhm.
so many different exercises and so many different questions. And I was like, this question was shit. And we would like throw it out. It was not going to be included, you know? And the ones that I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that hit, you know, we included it. And then the exercises and things like that too. So I think that that's one of the reasons that it really became such a bestseller, because people could relate to it and they could see like, oh wow, this makes a lot of sense. And that's how I try to write all of my books, right? My goal is not to appeal necessarily to the academics that would understand like how to read something that's very difficult. I want to be able to have my best friend read this, right? I want my cousin to read this.
Yeah.
I want the person that has never been to any higher education to be able to read this and understand it, and for it to be something that's an enjoyable piece of work that you can get, that it just clicks for you. That's what my goal is. And that's exactly how I've written the 24/7 manifestation method. I want to demystify manifesting, because it's not something that is difficult. It's not something that is apart from you. It is rooted in you. It's how you work. It's how you are built.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I had to get you to have your take on it, because like
Yeah.
people hear shadow work and I'm like, shadow work, like what you over there doing? You doing shadow work? And it's like, no, it's not what you think it is.
No,
It's what a
yeah.
lot of us really need.
Yeah, and I think that especially in a lot of religious communities, the word shadow is like very triggering.
Yeah.
But if you can use another word, inner work, inner child
Yes.
work, wounded, you know, something
Yep.
like that. It's really just really doing internal investigation into yourself. It's answering questions that really can open up a lot for you.
Yeah, make you think. Yes, and definitely give you that I'm in the shower and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why that happens. That's why I think like that. That's why I'm triggered by, certain things. So, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to check that out. I like that you said that you write in a way where anybody can understand. I think that's very important for anyone, to be able to put out work that's understood by whomever, so that, you know.
Yeah, and I mean I've included so many stories in there too about my own experiences, and like I don't know if you want to, like, let's call it case studies, but case studies of, you know, people that I have worked with personally, that I've seen their lives transform, because I want people to understand it's not just me saying like, yeah, I've learned all this stuff and it's great. I want people to understand this is possible for them, you know? It is not only possible for others, it's possible for you. And
Yes.
that's one of the reasons I included so many different stories in it and experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Okay, so I know we kind of went over like a lot of your information. So we're getting towards the end here. Can you just give us like a full breakdown of like the book, the release date, your socials again, how people can
Yeah.
get in contact with you, all of the things.
Yeah. If this conversation resonated with you, if you were just like, yes, I want to learn more about this, I really encourage you to pre-order my book. It is called The 24/7 Manifestation Method. It comes out October 6th of 2026, and I am incredibly excited to share it with the world, because I truly truly believe that it has the power to help so many people to reconnect with themselves, and in a very real and grounded way that is practical and is not distant or doesn't feel unattainable, but feels practical and is absolutely attainable for you. So highly recommend, if you could pre-order it, that would be amazing. And I know that you'd get a lot of value out of that book. And I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram. Again, my Instagram handle is Latha, that's Latha _Jay _. You can find me there. I make videos pretty much every day. I'm always having a post about some really cool topics. I talk about the lunar cycle and full moons and different astrology and energies that are happening, and I have motivation pieces, and I share about my retreats and different things, and all of the things I do is really central in that space of Instagram. So I'd love for you to follow me there as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will put all the information in the show notes. I promise. I promise I will. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here, Latha. I enjoyed the conversation. I know that it's going to resonate with so many. And thank you for being here. Do you have anything to say to the audience before we end today?
I mean, thanks for having me. This has been so much fun. What a great
Yay!
conversation. We've, been
Yes.
able to talk on so many topics. I honestly didn't even think that we were going to go to all these places, but like, how fun is that? And I just
Yes.
want to say thank you also to all the listeners that have, listened to this episode and maybe learned a little bit more about some of the topics that we were talking about, or it piqued a little bit of a curiosity within you, which is really cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, peace.